Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to October's Battle Rhythm. Today's webinar, Improving the Quality of Life for Elderly Veterans, will be hosted by Jeanette Gillis. Jeanette is the director of the network at America's Warrior Partnership. The network provides local veteran-serving organizations with a connection to national resource when a veteran's request cannot be met locally. To find out more about the network, please visit americaswarriorpartnership.org/the network. That's it for me. Jeanette, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Allison. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to start out by welcoming all of our branches, our 4-Star Alliance members, any veteran serving organizations that are joining us today, and guests. Today, I want to welcome our guests. I'm going to start with Amy Hane. Amy is the owner of Long-Term Liaisons. She is an advanced professional aging life care manager serving the central Savannah River area, which covers parts of South Carolina and Georgia. We also have Linda Rutland with us. Linda is a senior advisor for benefits delivery, protection, and remediation at the Veterans Benefits Administration Office of Financial Management with the U.S. Veterans Affairs. We also have Hannah Graber. She is a program associate for Elks National Veteran Service Commission. And Barry Gore, he is the Wish Fulfillment Manager at Wish of a Lifetime for AARP. Throughout this session, please post any questions that you have in the chat box so that we can answer them throughout the presentation and during the question and answer time. Also, please feel free to add any information that you would like to pass along to the attendees to be included in the after action report. I'm excited to turn this presentation over to Amy Hane. She can introduce herself and give us some tips and strategies to assist with the care of elderly veterans.
Thank you, Jeanette. Yes. And I just now have joined. I'm sitting in my car because we're here in the hurricane area and I didn't have enough internet to get on in my office. So please bear with me.
That.
Yes.
It's a common refrain here in our area.
Yeah. Been tough. So my name is Amy Hane, and I own a company called Long-Term Liaisons. And we provide what's called aging life care management services, which is really a fancy term for privately hired nurses and social workers to assist with elder care planning. We used to be called geriatric care managers. So for some of you who've been in this space for a while, you might have run into that. But we were rebranded as aging life care managers 5 or 6 years ago. And the idea behind that is that we do work with elderly, but we also work with disabled adults. So it is not only people who are elderly. So I got into this because I was working in the home health arena and I realized there was a need for a social worker basically to do more and go deeper for their clients. And that includes your veterans. So I started the business and I've been doing it now close to 15 years. And just to give in a nutshell what we do, we assess our clients' needs wherever they're living. We educate them and their family members or whomever hires us. Sometimes it's them, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's a family member. We educate them about the resources available to meet their needs. So whatever those needs are, and we'll talk a bit more about that, we connect them to those resources, and then we advocate for our clients. We have a lot of clients we've had for many years, and we almost become like a rented family member in a way. So when we assess, we're looking at what can they do for their own selves? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What sort of ADLs can they do? Their IADLs. What's their medical situation? What's their cognitive situation? Their social background? Their legal situation? Are they connected to the VA? Are they tapped into that? What services are they getting? Are they service connected? Or any other benefits they're receiving? What is their financial situation? And sometimes the VA plays a part in that, and sometimes they do not. because when we understand their life and who they are and what they've been doing and what's made them who they are, we can better guide them and their families when it comes to their choices in care. So our assessments are either a one-time situation of sometimes a couple hours with them or their family member talking about the areas I just mentioned. We then either write a written report to educate them or their family on what paths we think will offer them the care that they need. Sometimes they don't want a written report and they just want to sit down and talk about it and discuss where are we going next. And that can be anything from, are we going to refer them to assisted living or a nursing home, back and forth. And we discuss that there might be 3 or 4 different options to meet their needs, what works best for them at that time, and help them build a roadmap. That might be all somebody uses an aging life care manager. So in your roles working with veterans, it might be that you come across a veteran who you think, or the family, you think the family needs a little extra guidance. You have one area of expertise, but you would like to connect them to somebody who understands services available in their geographic area, because aging life care managers support their clients in their geographic area. So I cover the Augusta, Georgia, Aiken, South Carolina area. I don't know what's necessarily in Greenville or Phoenix, for instance. And then some people say, thank you for all that information, but please help us short term for a month to 5-6 months as we make a transition. So maybe mom was living at home fairly independently. She falls and she breaks a hip, or dad does. And all of a sudden he's in at the hospital in rehab, and an adult child comes to town and they don't know what to do. So we get involved and we work with them at the discharge planner in the hospital or the nursing home for rehab to guide them. And then maybe it's time for them to go home. Well, is home really the best option? So maybe we decide that it is, but we stay involved to oversee the care, the in-home care that's starting. Maybe there's VA services that are starting. Maybe there's going to be home health. Maybe there's going to be hospice. And maybe they need a ramp. There's could be myriad needs that we help manage and oversee for a period of time until everybody feels comfortable, and then they're doing okay. They might not be back to where they were, but they're doing a bit better. And Allison has put up on the screen what you can envision when you think of aging life care managers. So we're really the expertise in the middle of the wheel. We refer and interface with health and disability. We do crisis intervention. Right now, I'm doing lots of crisis intervention for my ongoing clients in the face of this hurricane, moving them out of their homes to assisted living, to family members, to taking food with coolers and ice. It's been a lot. But regularly referring to elder law attorneys, for instance, as you see on the infographic here. And then some people say, after we've worked with them for several months, please don't leave, stick around. And we do. And we have clients that we've had for years and years. I had one who died at 100 years old after caring for him for 100 years. It felt like it. 10 years. So, and I'm sorry, I'm dropping the phone. I'm doing the best I can, everybody. I'm sorry. I'm in my car.
You're doing great, Amy.
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Right.
So for a lot of our really long-standing clients, we become like a rented family member. And that is in part because some of our clients don't really have family, and that happens. We have clients who the trust officer or the guardian literally hires us because there's no family or no willing family to be part of their day-to-day lives. Sometimes there's family locally or far away. A lot of the people that hire us are family who live far away, but even we have family that live locally. They might work in this area, live in this area, and they either do not have time to deal with their loved one, or they don't have the emotional bandwidth. And when I say that, I mean people are people, and people can be difficult, and people have a history. So those of us who are social workers, and I know everybody on here is not, we understand that, but we understand you start where the client is. And the client is the elderly person or the disabled person, but we have to take into account the family member or the person hiring us and their aptitude to deal with what is expected of them or needed by them to meet the needs of our client. And sometimes, if there has been a negative history between the client and the person hiring us, that person says, I just can't do it. I can't deal with mom. I can't deal with daddy. So every time I walk in the house, we have a fight. So we come in and we are the objective person that has no power. So the kids don't have any power either, but we have no power. And we say that, hey, to the stubborn person, we can't make you do anything, but we're here to help you. We're here to be your idea people, your problem solver, your partner. And so it takes a burden off the family member who's struggling with the dynamics in the relationship and the client or client. Okay. Next, for our long-standing clients, we, as I said, can function as a rented family member. So we have clients who we literally make and attend all of their doctor's appointments. We communicate regularly with their family or whoever has hired us. We ensure that if they have long-term care insurance, we assist the family in using that or the client in using that. We offer crisis intervention sometimes when they first hire us, but really for our long-standing clients, I got some right now that are in crisis because of the hurricane. So we're managing all of the moving pieces related to their care. We do lots of follow-up with pharmacy and doctor's offices. And if they go to a physician appointment and they need an MRI, we are the ones that are making that appointment. Typically, our phone number is associated with in some way, shape, or form, their file at the physician's office. And we are handling all of that. If they live in assisted living, we're coordinating their transportation. If they live at home, we're ensuring that they're getting there. Sometimes they're driving themselves, but often they need us to coordinate transportation. We are interfacing with home health and hospice and communicating with them, and non-medical in-home care agencies. So like Visiting Angels or Home Instead or Right at Home, Comfort Keepers are national ones. Some of you probably know those names. And we don't provide caregivers. My agency does not do that, but we refer to those sorts of companies and we communicate with them regularly about our clients and their needs. And we work often with elder law attorneys and financial planners because what we know is that, again, we have no power and adult children have no power either. Even if you're someone's power of attorney, at least in the states of South Carolina and Georgia where I practice, that is not a blank check to do anything you want when it comes to making decisions about their care, where to house them if they need assisted living or hiring care for them. And so sometimes guardianship is needed. So we often refer to elder law attorneys to pursue guardianship before we ever get hired. But we do work closely with those sorts of professionals, trust officers as well, because they hold the keys to the money that pays us. And aging life care managers typically are private pay. There are some long-term care insurance that will pay for an assessment or some ongoing services, but limited. But as a general rule, it's all private pay. So we teach people that their income and their resources that they have saved, if they have any, or their long-term care insurance are vital to accessing care. And we work with people who have very little, and we work with people who have what they might say money is no object. We run the gamut. And so we understand how to guide them. We understand how to connect them to, for instance, a veteran service officer to try to get aid and attendance to get that benefit. We understand how to connect people to Medicaid so they can have Medicaid to pay for care. And then we understand how to work in the world of all private pay as well. People often say, How do I know when I need an aging life care manager? So I would say there are many different areas, and I'll just tick down a quick list for you. If a family member or a neighbor is seeing that someone needs more care, so their hygiene is not what it used to be, their pets are not being as well cared for, their home is messy, their refrigerator has lots of stuff that nobody should eat and his little stuff growing in on it, right? Because a lot of my clients have dementia. A lot do, and they're living in their own homes and they're functioning day to day from a muscle memory standpoint, physically and cognitively, but they do not know how to reason. They lack judgment and they lack short-term memory. And a lot of them right now are struggling in the hurricane situation. They don't understand what is going on. So are they not keeping up themselves in their home because they no longer have enough muscle memory for that, or they cannot make as positive, they don't have as much executive functioning abilities. What are they eating? Are they eating too much? Are they not eating enough? Do they only want sweets? What do they buy when they go to the grocery store? Are they going to the grocery store? Are they wandering? Are they making medication mistakes? So somebody comes to town to visit and they see that the bottles were filled 2 months ago and there's only 5 days missing because they end up counting the pills. Or maybe somebody's filling a med box for them, but every day seems the same to them, and they took 3 days worth in one day. That happens. So we help people. We put in medication dispensers, we put in systems, we put in lock boxes so that people can be safe and live as independently as possible. Sometimes we're hired because there's family conflict. Just got off the phone with a family out in Oregon, some local family. These people were affected by the hurricane. We're trying to get everybody on the same page and make sure that mom has somebody to care for her and dad, who's stubborn, doesn't stand in the way. So there is a lot, but we often get hired initially because some family says something is going on with mom or mom and dad and they need help. And the other family says, I don't think so. So we get involved to give an objective opinion about that and then offer guidance. Often neighbors and friends are complaining. Perhaps another reason you think somebody needs an aging life care manager, you're talking to your loved one and you're saying, well, what happened at the doctor's appointment? They cannot tell you. So I was recently with a client and the cardiologist said, and who are you? And I explained who I was. Ooh, the doctor says, an extra set of eyes, ears, and memory. Exactly. We're taking notes. We're going to do the follow-up because, again, a lot of our patients have dementia, but a lot of them have hearing loss and vision loss. So you give them a printout of what to do, instructions for a colonoscopy. They can't do it. They need assistance. They cannot remember what needs to happen. Maybe they're driving. They shouldn't be driving. There's dents and bumps in the car. There's tickets that they've stuck in the console, and you drive them somewhere and look in the console and you see 3 tickets. They're socially isolated. Maybe they used to be a social butterfly and now all they do is stay at home. Well, so we can come in and assess, well, how can we get them back out in the world? Do they need somebody to take them? Do they need to go to an adult senior center? Is that available? Or are they an assisted living candidate? Can they get enough socialization there? So it's our job to help flush out the needs and connect everybody to the resources. Also, another reason people hire us is they are stressed, meaning the family is stressed. They don't have time. They're losing time from work. They don't know how to navigate everything. They need a break.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's full of so much wonderful information. And I hope that anybody who might need this type of resource will take down the information that Allison put up in the chat.
Thank you.
Next up, we've got Linda. Linda, she's going to educate us on the fraud that the VA sees happening to elderly veterans and advice on how to better overcome this issue.
Awesome. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Linda Rutland, it is so awesome to be a part of your team now. I have Been very, very excited about this opportunity. I want to first start with just kind of giving you a little bit of understanding of what our background is and who we are. Even though we work in veterans benefits right now, our mission, we are not in the mission of delivering benefits or being a part of the claims process. What we are doing is protecting veterans from schemes and trying to get the word out about the various schemes that happen. But a little bit of understanding and background of how we came to fruition. Our director, Mick Worstel, way back in the day when our organization was trying to move to a digital environment, he said, you know what, fraud schemes are going to be so different from handing in paper. And so he tried to get an office stood up way back in the day, and he finally got traction back in 2018 to stand this organization up. And it started out primarily as a counter fraud division, but we've kind of expanded our mission to be much more than that. We are supporting all of the business lines that do provide services to veterans, whether it's compensation service, education service, loan guarantee, you name it. We're supporting them. We have partnered internally to conduct risk assessments within our organizations and trying to find areas where there are vulnerabilities. And you think about it, I mean, even waste and abuse on the government side does impact a veteran. And so we are working hard with our counterparts to find solutions. We've got a data scientist team that can do a lot of work and find patterns, if you will, of how fraud schemes are occurring and find solutions for that. So we're rolling up our sleeves, supporting all the business lines in doing that. I formerly was an assistant director over the pension and fiduciary programs. And so I have a lot of experience with how the elderly veterans are being targeted. And I've tried to share that with my colleagues here, Crystal Good and Sylvia, who have been developing messaging and campaigns to put the word out to the elderly, to the veterans, to all the different populations for the various schemes that are taking place. So I wanted to give you a little bit of background about that before I turn it over to Sylvia. And Sylvia is going to talk about some specific schemes that we have seen and some of the campaigns that her team has done over the last few years to get the message out to elderly veterans. So with that, I will turn it over to Sylvia to go talk to us about some of the specific schemes that she's seen with elderly.
Thank you, Linda. And it looks like we're having some technical difficulties with sharing our slides. So Crystal's still going to attempt to work on it to try to share them. But good afternoon, folks. And thank you for allowing us the opportunity to be here. And I'm very passionate about this, first of all, not only because it's something dear to my heart, but because I'm a veteran myself. So as you can imagine how passionate I am. So I kind of wanted to go over a couple of things here and just kind of share with you what our mission really is. And our mission is really to safeguard really the delivery of the hard-earned benefits of the veterans and their families. But we also have a vision for the vision. And for the vision, we also really want to be the center of excellence and provide the best of fraud, waste, and abuse risk and management services to really ensure there's a safe delivery of benefits, protecting the taxpayer dollars. So that's really what our vision is. And I'm going to go through and share a couple of ways that we do that. I'm also going to share with you some of the most the highest really kind of tactics that fraudsters are also using. So one of the ways that we work is we collaborate with partners and VBA business lines. And we do this we're very proactive against FWA, but instead of being reactive, we'll try to be proactive. So in order to be proactive, we utilize a three-step prong approach. And this is how it helps us to combat really fraud, waste, and abuse. By doing this, first we assess the current state of the VBA business lines to help us understand the environment. We also do this to the business-related processes. We try to find out what their process is. And we do this by understanding what their models are. We try to gather information. We try to understand what type of issues are you having. That way we can understand what type of potential fraud. Once we do that, we try to analyze and findings from our research. We try to understand and identify the vulnerabilities. Once we understand the vulnerabilities, then we can go ahead and within the business line, then we can understand their fraud. I'm actually on slide number 4. Finally, when we analyze our findings from the research and outreach, then we try to identify the vulnerabilities. That way it leads to fraud. And then finally, after that, we work with them to develop recommendations and solutions, and that helps actually seal our vulnerabilities, improve the VBA's ability to really safely deliver the benefits, protect veterans from harm. So this is really big. We try to collaborate with veterans, we try to collaborate with partners, business lines. This is one of the biggest things that we do, and this is very important, one of the first steps. This slide says it all right here. This slide, as you can see, sadly, fraud affects a wide range of veterans and can lead only to financial hardship, but not only financial hardship, but also emotional and mental distress. As you can see here, scammers target all sorts of veterans, ages, branches, and rank, but elderly really are particularly susceptible to the certain types of schemes, and this is what really is very sad. As we're going to talk through some of these various types of fraud scams, which you can see, they really used to steal the personally identifiable information, which we also refer to the PII, which ultimately really goes to the benefit payments. And this is really hard because some of these folks, sometimes this is all that they have, and this really takes a toll on them. This is one of the first ones, and this is one of the big ones. This is a payment redirect fraud. So the payment redirect occurs when fraudsters have enough PII, the personal information, available to them that they are available to indicate a change in a veteran's benefits profile. And here, regarding that first bullet, the call center takes knowledge-based questions like the branch of service, dates of service, the social security, a date of birth. So if the fraudster knows all of this information, they can actually pass for the veteran on the call. And we have the VA National Call Center that we ask this type of information. Regarding the second bullet, fraudsters can use the stolen words to log on for an online payment or the platforms to choose the benefits. Once they have this sort of information, they can potentially impact the delivery of the payment. So this is very important that they don't share this information with anybody. They can also commit to really payment redirect fraud through mail and forms if they don't fill out, if they fill out and sign information, if they are the veteran. I mean, there's so many different ways that they can do this. And this is where we focus a lot of our time and resources on payment redirect, because this type of fraud has a massive, massive monetary impact. And a lot of the veterans really rely on this type of monthly expenses. This is why it's essential, really essential, to protect the personal identifiable information and bank information and never share it online. So that's one of the biggest things we really stress on, not only to the veterans or beneficiaries, but the folks that are really representing them as well. This one's a big one, government impersonators. So I'm going to kind of give you a couple of examples of, as you're reading these, I'm going to give you some examples of just some real life samples of some scams that go with these. So for the government impersonators, there was a woman that pretended to be, there was a woman that was scammed from a fake U.S. Marshal impersonating scam. So she was actually contacted about a package being intercepted, and she was told that the government was listening to a call. The caller stated that she was a victim and she was at risk of identity theft, and it was transferred to a U.S. Marshal. And they actually use a name of a real U.S. Marshal. However, he was fake. So the scammers had really spoofed the local U.S. Marshal's office, the telephone number, and they used a fake name, or they used a person's name, a U.S. Marshal, but it was fake, Throughout this time, they made it really fast, and they said that she had to do this, or else she was going to get arrested. And they gave her the option to even go to Texas to defend herself, or she could send in some money. So what she did, she ended up withdrawing $12,000 from her cash, several bank accounts. She went to a Bitcoin ATMs to make the deposits. And after that, after she got off the phone, she pulled up the U.S. Marshal's website and saw the warning that it was a scam. The real Marshal said that this is happening to many folks, and many folks have been targeted in the scam using his name. So this is just one of them. The pension poaching, another one, says the home care company scam targeted a veteran out of his pension, and they have to pay him $400,000 to his estate. So this was a really sad case, because this veteran was already in a nursing home, but this particular company went out and they said, we will fill out your pension for you. They filled out his pension form to the VA. He received his pension, and they promised to give him 69 hours. They lied about his pension. They took, out of $1,200, he ended up getting maybe $50 of it. He never got any of it, and they kept it. They didn't give him the $69 or the 69 hours. This veteran eventually passed away, so his estate is now receiving it. It was really, really sad. The veteran eventually knew that he was getting scammed, and he just wanted to get justice for it. So that's a really sad case. The claims predators, this is another one that's very bad. A Texas attorney, this is a Texas attorney filed a lawsuit for a company accused of preying on veterans. And this is very big because we have a lot on this one. And they are charging a lot of money. They're promoting certain fees, saying that it's free. And that's before they lock veterans into contracts and demand exorbitant amount of money. I mean, this is for providing illegal services. This is very, very common. So these are big ones that we are really focusing on. Romance and friendship scams. I don't know if any of y'all have heard about these, but these are, we had a former soldier sentenced in romance scams that stole $350,000. And this is just working to be engaged in a series of scams. They're impersonating romantic love interests through online, and just, there's a lot of co-conspirators preying on the vulnerable. So this is very common, not only for veterans, but also other folks as well. Grandparent scams. This one, where there was several women that were involved, where they pretended to be a grandchild of someone, of elderly folks. And what they did is they called them and said, your grandchild needs $10,000. He was in a car accident. They ended up giving this grandson the money. It was $11,000, $10,000, several different ones. And what happened is they were scammed out of their money. Another one ended up getting $11,000 because they said that they needed the money because their grandson was going to jail. So again, these are very, very common. Sometimes they even use artificial intelligence to sound like their grandson. They also know where their grandson's going to be, their schedule. So this is very common also. So that's another one that we need to be aware of. Charity scams. This one is one of the newest ones, and they're also using AI for this one. For this one, a woman fell victim to online military scams. So what they do is they post on an online scam to a double amputee soldier holding a cake, asking for birthday wishes. Patriotic Americans are on there saying, holding a sign saying, I'm ready to go home, asking for money, and just asking for comments. People really posting comments, but the soldier isn't real. It was actually created by AI. So you work on people's their vulnerabilities, and what they do is they end up getting folks to make comments and get them to start chats on the side, and they ask them to send money, and it's a fake charity. There's no fake charity. It's not really a charity. They send this money and it's all fake. So that's another one going around. As you can see, there's so many different types of scams, and these are only a few that we're sharing with you. They're constantly ever changing, and we definitely want you to be aware of them. There's so many more that they're available, but these are the resources. Because I've talked about the scams, now it's what can you do? How much can you do? What, and what resources are available? So these are the resources that we have available. And these can be shared with you. So we have the Claims Predators Toolkit. I'm not going to share every single one of them, but we also have a website that you can visit that it has every single one of the scams that I spoke about. And these are some of the top ones, but we have definitely a lot more. We also have Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can subscribe to them monthly, which we end up posting a lot of good information on there as well. And we also have the number on here. If a veteran misses their payment, they can call a number, or if they even find anything suspicious with their direct deposit, they can go ahead and call this number as well. So this is a very good resource to have available. And if you need anything else, we can go ahead and give you as well, anything that we come up with, and we can share that with you as well. Here's some additional resources as well. The first one is our email. If you have any questions on that, we're also adding the Federal Trade Commission, because there's a complaint can be made if you encounter someone that is not following thoroughly. This is the Federal Trade Commission. And then also here's another one for Choose VA as well for the direct deposit. So I know I've shared a lot of information here, but this is something that we're so passionate about. We're everlasting. We're always evolving, because there's always a new trend, there's always a new scheme. Every time we find something new, it seems like the fraudsters are always coming up with another scheme. So we're always researching on what is the newest fraud scheme, what's the newest trend. We're always working on that, but we're trying to stay on top of it. And we're also trying to find out, how can we get the word out? How can we help veterans? How do we partner and collaborate with others to try to get out to as many veterans as possible? I know sometimes it's word of mouth, it's presentations through social media, any which way. So thank you, and that is it for me.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. I appreciate you sharing your insight. Jeanette, I think I'm going to ask Sylvia to, if she can, post a direct link for the pension poaching scam, because that does kind of fit right in and tie into some of the needs and things that Amy was just talking about. Yes. For the elderly veterans, and some of the things that we have seen happen to especially those elderly veterans who are in receipt of pension. So we'll share that as well.
Wow. That is just astonishing. I mean, I'm not astonished, but at the same time, it's just sickening. It
is. And Sylvia, she just highlighted a few of the things that we have seen. If we have time, we can do deep dives into some of the specifics so that we can share tactics and the different things that, you need to be aware of. So we can do a deeper dive should anyone want.
Thank you so much. Now we're going to move into our next presenter. I'd like to introduce Hannah Graber. She is going to speak to us about the Elks Voluntary Service Program.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah. I work for the Elks National Veteran Service Commission, which is part of the nonprofit branch of the Elks organization. You may be familiar with Elks lodges in your community. The ENVSC, one of the primary programs that we have is the Voluntary Service Program, which is what I work with. I'm going to share my slides. It'll take a moment. All right, so the Elks Voluntary Service Program stations over 650 volunteers in VA hospitals, state veterans homes, clinics, housing facilities, and other locations across the country. Volunteers provide a variety of activities, recreational, holiday activities. They provide supplies and other services in response to the needs of the veterans at the facilities where they volunteer. This program has a lot of flexibility, which allows the volunteers to serve a variety of different populations, and one of the largest populations is elderly veterans. We're really excited about the ways that our volunteers have shown up to serve veterans, and created an environment for them that makes a big difference in their lives. Many of the examples and quotes that I'll share today demonstrate that really simple actions can go a long way in improving veteran lives through adaptation, consistency, personal involvement, and facilitating contact to reduce isolation in these elderly veterans' lives. So adapting activities to accommodate disability is important to make veterans of all ages feel included. Allowing flexibility for individual requests and preferences creates a more personal atmosphere, and volunteers working together with experts and caregivers who know their veterans best will discover new ways to serve. At this bottom picture you see on the screen is from the Chippewa Falls Veterans Home in Wisconsin, where our volunteer Roger Collada hosted a fishing event that included an accessible dock so that veterans in wheelchairs can participate. Offering events like barbecues or fishing events are obviously great recreational events, but it's not always enough if it leaves out those who can't navigate uneven ground, small doorways, or food that is difficult to chew. We often communicate with volunteers about ways that they adapt their activities for both requests and things that they observe among the veterans who are participating in the activities. Volunteers may not always anticipate the ways that it's possible to support veterans. By working closely with staff members who are experts in adapting treatment for senior veterans, volunteers can support in unexpected ways. In this top picture, you see a veteran demonstrating a virtual reality goggle set. This is in Lewiston, Idaho. Our volunteer Judith provided these therapeutic virtual reality goggles to be used to reduce chronic pain and stress and improve range of motion and physical conditioning. We've also seen examples of volunteers participating in music and memory programs by providing instruments or iPods or other formats of music to listen to. They have provided sensory equipment to relieve stress due to memory loss or pain, and other equipment that aids in dexterity, flexibility, and strength. These types of support need to be coordinated with therapists or medical professionals to ensure that they're appropriate and safe. And these are great examples of things that volunteers may not think of themselves. Some of our most successful volunteers are those that provide consistency to the population of veterans that they work with. Regular events give participants something to look forward to each week or each month, and support building closer relationships between the volunteers and the veterans themselves. At the Wilmington VA Medical Center in Delaware, our volunteer Pat Clark hosts a monthly birthday celebration. And in his words, he says, "We continue sponsoring the birthday celebrations for residents with ice cream, cake, gifts, snacks, and playing games. These popular events have encouraged residents to get out of bed and attend the parties." Elks in Fort McCoy, Florida provide monthly events for Veterans Village, which is a retirement home. All of these pictures you see are from the events that they sponsor. Some months they celebrate holidays, and other months they create a special event, whether there is a holiday on the calendar or not. One volunteer, Carol Liu, describes these events this way. "Most importantly, our lodge helped approximately 65 residentially placed veterans to feel appreciated by interaction and the provision of material things to make their lives more comfortable. Many of these veterans have no outside visitors, and they really look forward to our events. Their pleasure in having us there and knowing that people do still care and want them to feel happy is the best reward for our efforts." While volunteering often takes the form of providing entertainment or recreation, it can also be a very valuable interpersonal experience. I've had many conversations with longtime volunteers who talk about how they don't feel that they're providing any service at all. They're just visiting with their friends. Many Elk volunteers are also veterans themselves, not all of them, but many are. And those who are veterans can relate to those they serve on a deeper level. This kind of peer support enhances experiences for veterans in both positions, whether they're volunteering or hospitalized or living in a long-term care facility. In Montrose, Colorado, an Elk volunteer, Willie Gordon, drives veterans to their medical appointments at a clinic, and he describes his experience this way. Visiting with veterans and just asking them the branch they served in and sharing my military experience in the British military always seems to spark an interesting conversation, and we share some good stories with each other. We also have a volunteer who spends time each week assisting veterans who use wheelchairs move from the living space to a chapel for weekly services. There aren't always opportunities for this kinds of hands-on assistance, but when it's appropriate to do so, it can really open up time for that personal connection between volunteers and veterans. Another volunteer, Mia Newell, visits the Bellevue, Nebraska State Veterans Home and often plays bingo with the residents or provides things like flowers and snacks. But the deeper value she finds in her visits are the personal interactions. She says, "I love learning their names to have real conversations. The relationships that are built by spending time with them are very sweet." Aside from the personal contact between volunteers and veterans, volunteers are also facilitating contact between veterans and those outside of the facilities where they reside. Some Elk volunteers regularly provide postage stamps, envelopes, other writing materials for veterans who don't want to use email or cell phones. Others donate electronics and provide the support and instruction necessary for elderly veterans to use a computer or iPad to make email or make video calls. This is especially important to keep a veteran connected to their friends and family if they live far away. And for our volunteers, they found it became especially vital in 2020 when many veterans in care facilities were isolated from their families due to the pandemic. Even now, every single day, I read reports about events that are canceled and facilities that are closed down to outside visitors because of COVID. This creates a lot of disappointment and sadness for both the veterans and volunteers. While it is great to be ready to support electronic communication in any context, preventing sickness for our vulnerable veteran populations when possible is a very important part of reducing isolation. When group gatherings are possible, it's always great to see events that include family members. For veterans who live in a retirement home and don't have the space to accommodate guests in their own rooms, events where volunteers handle the preparation and cooking, cleanup, can give them the ability to be a host again to their loved ones. There's many ways that volunteers can support or enable connections. Some of our volunteers will provide candy to veterans who are living in nursing homes so that they can host trick-or-treaters. And ENVSC also partners with Help Heal Veterans, which is an organization that produces therapeutic craft kits. The kits include all types of crafts to accommodate many interests. The activity of assembling the kits is something that many veterans enjoy doing together. They also, we've also received feedback that they finished the craft kits and use them as gifts for their grandchildren or others that they know, and that helps them connect with their family as well. One of our Elk volunteers, Robert Wellman, is always involved in amazingly creative events for veterans and their families at the Marquette, Michigan State Veterans Home. In this photo, we see veterans enjoying a family picnic there. They've also enjoyed events like a 1960s themed party, carnivals, and a scenic boat trip to view the Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore. Especially for veterans who are more isolated in institutions, giving opportunities to go outdoors and off-site is important. These examples we see here on our screen show some of the outings that our volunteers have sponsored for their veterans. In Oklahoma City, veterans are enjoying outdoor beanbag games. In Chicago, some veterans got to attend a baseball game. And in the bottom right, veterans from Augusta, Maine are enjoying a car show. That was a recent submission from an event this past month.
Hannah, we're out of time.
Okay.
Thank you for a wonderful presentation. We're finishing strong here with Barry Gore. Barry is going to educate us on Wish of a Lifetime. But I did want to stop and also thank all of you. These are wonderful things that you're doing out in the world to support our veterans. And I'm just very inspired today by all these things. So thank you all in advance. Barry has the title of Wish Fulfillment Manager for his program, which is Wish of a Lifetime. And he kind of sounds like Santa. So, you know, Barry, tell us about your program and what you do. I'm excited to learn more.
I don't look like Santa, but I could be an elf.
Okay.
Let me share my screen real quick. Okay. So I'm Barry Gore. I'm with Wish of a Lifetime. It's a joy to be with you today. And wow, I'm so impressed with all the resources I've just heard about. So I want to talk with you today about Wish of a Lifetime. We are a program that grants wishes to older adults. You may have heard of Make-A-Wish. They provide wishes for terminally ill young people up to the age of 18. And we're not Make-A-Wish, but we are Wish of a Lifetime. We were started about 15 years ago. And I just want to talk with you about what we do and how you can get involved with us. So we believe that everyone should age with hope and joy. And what we do is we craft individual, purpose-driven wish experiences to eliminate impediments to aging with hope and joy. We want to empower older adults to fulfill their hopes and dreams, and including reconnecting them with people and passions that matter most to them. The goal for us is to improve overall well-being and to have a positive impact on their lives. Last year, we granted about 20% of our wishes to veterans. We receive about 1,500 wish applications a year, and we grant about 300. Again, 20% or about 59 of those were to veterans last year. That's part of a targeted group of people, including minorities, low income, and rural residents. We were founded in 2008 by Jeremy Bloom. Jeremy Bloom is kind of distinguished as being the only Winter Olympics athlete who went on, he was a skier, to go on and play with the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFL. He's a very dynamic person. And he was inspired by his grandmother. And when he was in Asia for the Winter Olympics, noticed how older people were treated very differently than here in the United States. And so he wanted to bring awareness to older people and honor them for their contributions to society. In 2019, we had granted 2,000 wishes. And then in 2020, we joined forces with AARP as one of their affiliates. And just last year in 2023, we had our 15th anniversary and marked the 2,500th wish that we have granted. And I think already we're getting close to about 2,800 for this year. That's what our shooting for this year, is to grant 275 wishes. And so let's talk a little bit about some of the guidelines for people who qualify. You have to be at least 65 years old. You have to reside in the United States or one of its territories. So that means you just have to have a US address. You have to be unable to fulfill the wish on your own, but you have to also be capable of experiencing the wish. And we also, in some cases, have to be able to obtain approval from a doctor if necessary in order to participate in your wish. We have 4 different categories that we use for wish granting. The first one, very important to this group, would be commemorating service. Commemorating service isn't just military service. It could also be nurses who have been in service positions, firefighters, police officers, teachers, or people who've just done a tremendous amount of volunteer service. But again, we're very interested in granting wishes to veterans. If you want to apply for a veteran to get a wish, it would be helpful for us to have a copy of their DD 214, which we'll ask for. But if that's something that you have, keep that handy for us. Another category is reconnecting loved ones. We actually do a lot of wishes with this. In this society today, we all live very far apart. Some people haven't seen their children for 10 years or haven't seen someone that they served in the military with for 30 years, 50 years. And so we love to reconnect people. We also like to fulfill lifelong dreams. In this picture on the left, this woman's dream was to drive in a race car on a racetrack, and so we were able to fulfill her wish. It can be hot air balloons, skydiving, zip lining. They don't have to be adventurous. Some people have always dreamed of going to Graceland or going to the Grand Canyon. So whatever their lifelong dream is, we work on those. And then also renewing and celebrating passions. We do a fair number of sports wishes, people who just want to go to a game. They've followed a team for years, but they've never actually attended in person. Some people are also reconnecting with their passions for music, performing for a live audience for the first time in many years, or it could be that they are NASCAR or Hot Rod Car Association fans and they want to go to an event. So we try to connect and renew people with celebrating their passions. We did an interesting wish for a woman who actually wanted to come to Denver, Colorado, to attend or visit a museum for violin making. She had played the violin for years, but she wanted to learn how one was made. So that was just another example of renewing and celebrating passions. There are a number of ways to get involved with us, and we would ask you to think about any of these that fit into your organization or your personal life. The first one is wish discovery, and this is where we're trying to find applicants for wishes. So you can nominate people for wishes. They can nominate themselves as well, but we're always trying to get the word out to help find more wishes that people would like to experience. Then we get to wish granting, and we could always use your help in actually fulfilling a wish. Sometimes you might have a connection or a resource that we could partner with and use to help make a veteran's wish come true, particularly veterans. And so we ask for your help in wish granting. We have a network of volunteers all over the country that help us accompany sometimes wish recipients or to help facilitate activity or something that they want to do for their wish. Every year in February, we have our annual Cupid Crew activity, which is the delivery of roses and cards to older adults all across the nation. And this last February, we delivered 170,000 roses to older adults. And then there were also thousands of cards that also went out to them. And on Cupid Crew, you can make cards, deliver roses, or nominate a community. I have an adoption program right now for assisted living facilities, retirement homes, veterans homes, things like that, so that we can get them into our system so that we can reach out to them with love and hope and joy for Valentine's Day. We also are always looking for older adults to help us promote our events in the community. And then we have a postcard program where if you're not able to, because maybe physical limitations or otherwise, get out and work on a volunteer role in a wish, you can simply write program postcards to people who have received wishes and just tell them, how proud you are that they took a risk or took a chance or fulfilled a dream. So lots of different ways to get involved with us. This is one of my favorite pictures. This is John. He's a 101-year-old World War II veteran, and his wish was to go back home to small town Missouri, where he was going on Memorial Day, where he was going to the dedication of a new Veterans Memorial in his hometown. And we were able to get him back there, and he was celebrated by the residents of his hometown, and he was there to help dedicate the Veterans Memorial, not just Vietnam, all veterans. So that's just another example of wishes that we do. So we'll pause there for a minute. The most important thing is that our website is called wishofalifetime.org. And you can go to the website and you can get all of this information, and you can apply online for someone to have a wish. And again, it can be nominating someone, or they can nominate themselves, any older adult. And then when they come into our system, we'll then follow up with them and eventually reach out and start to do an interview process to determine whether or not they have a wish that we would be able to grant. I want to just be real clear on the qualifications. We grant wish experiences. So we do not do home remodels. We don't buy vehicles. We don't pay off mortgages. We don't buy equipment or technical expertise, computers and laptops and things like that. It has to be an experience that they can enjoy, and we almost always send a companion along so they can have somebody who goes with them. So kind of went through that a little bit fast, but any questions from anybody about our program? Or Jeanette, tell me, what's the next step on our presentation today?
Well, let's just see if we do have any questions. I'm going to open it up for questions about all the topics that you've heard about, but let's start with any questions that you have for Barry. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Sure.
That was so beautiful. I just love that. It touches my heart every time I hear you talk about it. And I've seen you present at least 2 other times, and it's just wonderful. So those of you who are working with veterans, which I guess that's all of us, think about any veterans that you have that might be able to enjoy this program. That would be really good for them. You got a comment here. Great rundown on Wish of a Lifetime. What a great program to know about. Thank you for that comment, William. Now let's see. We've got some other questions here. We've got a question about the Elks Club. How do folks get to know about what the Elks Club is doing in their community? What's the best way?
You can always visit our website, which is elks.org/vets. You'll find lots of information about our programs there. You can also contact lodges in your community. We have a lodge locator on our website if you want to find out what Elks are doing locally.
Yeah. We have another question for Linda. Linda, if communities wanted to host a training event for fraud in their area, who would the contact person be?
Okay, so go ahead and send it directly to myself. Sylvia, if you could pop yours and Crystal's email address in the chat as well. So you could send it to all 3 of us for now, and we'll put something together.
I'm not seeing any other comments or questions. You could also come off of mute if you would like to ask a question more directly.
Barry, is the best way to reach the Wish of a Lifetime, is it just to go through your website and then do the, nominate someone that way? Is that the best way?
Yeah, that's the best way to nominate somebody. We have our phone number is also on our website if you want to talk to us about individual questions, or if you want information about Keep It Crew, I'd probably just give us a call. But if you're nominating someone for a wish, the website's the best place to be.
Well, I would like to thank Amy, Linda, Hannah, and Barry for all of this informative information and their presentations and presence today. And I thank all of you for collaborating and sharing with us. America's Warrior Partnership's ultimate goal is to improve the quality of life of all veterans and end veteran suicide by empowering local communities to know all of their veterans, serving them holistically before a crisis occurs. America's Warrior Partnership's model community integration amplifies local efforts by bringing the community's veteran serving organizations together to bridge gaps in available services and by connecting local groups to national resources. We believe communities are best equipped to improve the life of their veterans. We hope today's Battle Rhythm provided you with powerful insights, best practices, new partners, and tools to do just that. Our next Battle Rhythm will be on November 4th, and we'll be focusing on supporting the well-being and mental health of caregivers. So, sort of a takeoff on our topic today. We hope that you can attend, and we thank you all for being here and hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody.